Great. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to this session,
Good evening.
specifically for this new WhatsApp group that I was included into, corporate security professionals
Right.
on WhatsApp. Perhaps the first knowledge sharing session in the group. I'm happy to do this. Welcome once again. Thanks for joining in. Without you, it wouldn't be successful. Quickly, well, about myself, about 35 years in the industry, 16 years in resilience domains. So BCM, crisis risk, current passion being organizational resilience, which doesn't mean that I have forgotten BCM or have given up BCM or risk or crisis. As a practitioner, I have dirtied my hands myself, I have done it myself. I've been a trainer and consultant, currently a freelance trainer and consultant. Been auditor, assessor. I have been across companies and countries. I have won multiple awards nationally and globally. First book was about 2 years ago, co-authored. The second book, which is written by me only, my experiments with BCM, global release is happening on 27th of November. If you have interest in that.
Hanumant Kakar, may we request you to please put your mic on mute?
Thank you.
Hanumant?
Much. I can do that also.
Yeah, please do that.
Please allow me a couple of seconds to do that. Yes, sir. Thank you very much. I hope you can still hear me. I'm not muted. Okay. I'm a fellow of the. Someone say yes, no, please. Now you cannot say, so type in, please.
Yeah, we can hear. We can hear.
All right, great, thanks. I'm a fellow of BCI. I'm a fellow of BCS. IEEE ambassador in India, touching about 10,000 hours of training teaching experience. So we'll move fast. The topic we have picked up for this evening is operational risk management. I'll attempt to keep this interactive also. So I have built in some polls, and first one in front of you.
And then, वो क्या बोल रही है finally?
People need to go on mute, please.
तो अभी क्या है तेरा हालत क्या है कोई मिला है?
I believe poll in front of you on your screen, so I request people to type in your responses, please. Risk management and operational risk management, it's same, just two different names. Only 2 people have responded so far, so my request is please do participate. I tend to create analysis report also based on these polls and then share with people. 66% people have responded, so I'll stop here, and I believe you can see the results also on your screen. 17% said yes. No is a great percentage, 67%. Let's go a little deep into this. Starting with a video. I'll stop for a second just to take this input that you are able to watch the video as well as audio is clear. Audio, video clear? Someone say yes, no, please, or type in.
Yeah, yes.
Great.
There are 3 primary risks in banking. What are the primary risks? Credit risk, market risk, and ops risk. And historically, it is credit risk. You know what it is. A bank gives a loan, the person goes bankrupt. Okay, they have lost their money. Okay, that's credit risk. And when a bank gives a loan, they have to find out if the person they give the loan to is actually going to pay it back. That would be nice. So that's credit risk. You know what market risk is? They are going to invest money that they have in the in some market. Can be any type of market, equities, fixed income or whatever, something will happen in the market, or maybe some foreign markets. There is market risk. And then there is ops risk. And by the way, there are other, the regulators are interested in these three risks. So the big regulators of all countries, actually, they want to see of a bank, what are you doing, how are you measuring your ops risks, these three credit risks. Okay, just to tell you a little bit of where ops risks fit in the whole thing. The primary risk events on a company level are these three risks here. I come from an operations management area, and that I think ops risk that's the most important. By the way, there are some propagation effects of these risk events. What are the propagation effects? If there's too much risk and things don't go your way, there can be, for a company, there can be liquidity risks. So that's sort of the ensuing risks. Liquidity risk or reputation risk. You know, when what happened with the breach at JP Morgan Chase, that they lose 70 million people and small businesses all their information. The reputation of, hey, listen, JP Morgan Chase, you're a nice bank, but do you really know what you're doing? So there is some reputation risk. That's sort of a follow-up risk. That's usually, it has time-wise a couple of months that it will take to hit. And then you have industry level risk, because if too much liquidity risks happen with too many companies, there can be a systemic risk, there can be contagion risk, and that can be an industry-wide risk. So this is a way of looking at risks, but this is a way of looking at risks the way from an operations management point of view. Let's look at what is the definition of operational risk according to Basel II. All of you know what, I hope all of you know what Basel I, Basel II, and Basel III are. It's the risk of a loss resulting from inadequate or failed internal processes, people, or from external events. That's, you have internal processes, people, or external events. So the problem can be, well, first of all, how are you going to, how can you make investments to mitigate operational risk? The type of investment, you have to invest in your human resources, invest in your traders, and also, by the way, in the supervision of your traders, your auditors, and your IT personnel, etc. etc. You have to invest in IT, believe it or not, investment in IT. If your systems break down, and by the way, there have been very interesting cases of systems breakdown that cost an enormous amount of money. Because first of all, the moment systems break down, people are making more human errors, there are propagation effects, there is a lot of positive correlations with other events happening, that, so the, the cost of a breakdown, usually it's, and people measure actually every day level on any trading floor, how many minutes that day is the system down. And if the system has been down over the day, a total of 10 minutes, let's say 1 minute here or there, a total of 10 minutes it has been down, you know that there have been operational risk losses. Because the moment a trader puts in a trade and he has to wait a minute before things are being executed, something is going to happen against him in the market. So maybe it also was a highly volatile day or a high volume day, things can happen. So you have to do IT investments, cost of computing and telecommunication equipment, and you have to do in backups, all that, those are investments you have to. By the way, there is something else. Nowadays you can buy, no, actually they stopped selling that. There was a reason why they stopped selling it. But after all those rogue traders came along, there were insurance companies that say, hey, listen, we can sell you insurance against rogue trading. And by the way, the regulators, they know that some companies buy insurance against having a rogue trader in their house. And if you buy insurance, they will reduce their requirements on capital reserves against operational risk. So there is an incentive actually to insure yourself. And by the way, there is even a company like JP Morgan Chase who really doesn't have to insure itself, because JP Morgan Chase has money in the bank. It's not really a very poor company. It has some money. It doesn't need to insure itself. Still, they may insure itself, because why did they want to insure themselves? Because the insurance company comes in, and before they actually write an insurance on you, they're going to audit you, and they want to see how your processes are. And by the way, that is what JP Morgan Chase wants to see. Let's see if this insurance company has experience with it, what they say about it. And then they buy insurance. And by the way, the insurance company won't sell it for more than $1 billion. So if the rogue trader makes 5 billion disappear, you get only 1 billion back from the insurance company. But you can do that. By the way, the last 6 months, the insurance companies have stopped doing that. It's not completely clear to me why they stopped writing insurance. I think they had a hard time quantifying the risk. Okay, so the types of operational risk losses, we can have transaction errors, we can have loss or damage to assets, theft, fraud, and unauthorized activities. Regulatory, this one here, regulatory compliance and taxation penalties. Let me tell you, you may underestimate this, legal liability. Who of you heard which bank had to pay 2 months ago $250 million as penalty to New York State for not complying with anti-money laundering? Which bank was that? The Agricultural Bank of China. They have a big office in New York. Boy, the New York regulators got down on them. And they are having no problems. But the Agricultural Bank of China, the 250 million, was not a big deal. It was just a warning to them. A warning that, hey, listen, you have to shape up because we don't like this. And by the way, you have to pay us 250 million. It's not really a big deal, yeah. It's not a big deal. Okay, legal liability. Okay, so these are the types of operational risk losses. What are the operational risk factors? I give you here some general idea about operational. You have people risk. I told you already, people risk. They can be incompetent, unauthorized behavior, internal fraud, and external fraud. It can be a client. For example, that money laundering, that was people risk, and it came from a client, and the client apparently was not checked well enough or not sufficiently well enough according to the regulators.
I hope you can see my screen once again. I'll be using a couple of other videos and a disclaimer that I'm not promoting that company at all, whoever has produced the video. The professor in this video talked a little about operational risk. I believe we would have picked up few points at least. To me, a risk is a risk is a risk, full stop. I will not be able to explain why and how all these different terms have been coined. Operational risk, for example. Right. To me, a risk is risk, and that's what is clear from the definition also. And we'll see this once again in a moment. If we look at the definition, a continuous cyclic process which includes risk assessment, risk decision making, and implementation of risk controls. So if we believe many of us are from BC domain, an assumption I'm making, all right, we understand risk management. This is what we do in risk management: assessment, identification, decision making, and implementation of risk controls, which results in acceptance, mitigation, or avoidance of a risk. Operational risk management is the oversight of operational risk, including the risk of loss resulting from inadequate, failed internal processes and systems, human factors, or external events. So if you look at this, internal processes and systems, human factors, and external events, then what is left? That's what I'm saying. Risk is a risk to me. Unlike other types of risks, operational risk became the focus area of the top management relatively late. This is perhaps an established fact, and I picked up this from Wikipedia. In India, the regulator for the banking sector, by the way, this professor also was talking about the banking sector or financial sector. While the concepts are similar for all sectors, RBI, Reserve Bank of India, is the regulator in India. According to them, operational risk has been defined by the Basel Committee. So RBI has picked up from Basel, which the professor also had referred to, on banking supervision as the risk of loss resulting from inadequate or failed internal processes. So you see the definition is similar to what I had picked up from Wikipedia also. People and systems or from external events. Once again, if you look at internal processes, people and systems, and or external events, then all risks are covered. This definition includes legal risk, but excludes strategic and operational risk. And I have difference of opinion on that. I'm saying all risks are operational risks, according to me. Quickly from RBI, once again, typical structure. So in your organization, it may be different, but what the regulator in India, the regulator for banking and financial sector, RBI, Reserve Bank of India, says at the top board of directors, we see there should be a risk management committee. We can keep going down. There should be a CRO, Chief Risk Officer. And at the bottom, we see business operational risk manager or operational risk management specialist. This is an expectation. This is not a rule, I would say. Typical structure. Some of you, us, if not all of us, would know there is a standard called ISO 31000. Current version is 2018 version, and this is about risk management. I picked up this diagram from that standard. We see clause 4, 5, and 6, and it is this diagram. It shows principles, framework, and process. And immediately, easily, we will be able to look into this process. This is what we have been doing in risk management. Quickly, in short, as simplest way, I would repeat: identify, evaluate, and mitigate. That's what we do in risk management. But if we elaborate upon this third circle from the diagram, from that standard, we see there is scope, context, criteria, etc. We talk of monitoring and review is important because it's not one-time activity. We need to maintain it. Communication and consultation, very important, even in risk management. There are different interested parties. We used to call stakeholders. Now we say interested parties. So we need to keep them informed. We need to keep them involved. You need to keep them up to date. And then a recording and reporting. So roughly, this is what the cycle process would be, which is in clause 6 of ISO 31000. I believe risk management is as old as humanity. The day we were born, we started managing risks because we had some risk on that day. So this based on that, I'm saying that it's older than crisis and emergency management. Then came BCM, and today we say organizational resilience also. While it's that old, I'm saying my experiences are that risk appetite generally is not known. I have been across companies and countries as an auditor also. Based on that, I'm making this comment or observation. Then some improvement. We know risk appetite, but it's not published. So if it's not published, we publish not to the whole world, but at least to internal interested parties. Third improvement continues. It's known, it's published also, but then what? Not used. Then again, there is a gap or there is an improvement required here. Or it is too old, even if it is known, published, being used, but it's too old value, which is once again not a good practice. Next finding is that the process is missing. As an auditor, I would like to know, okay, you have told me all 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, good, you're passing. But how did you come to know this value? If you, for example, you say the one risk appetite is $1,000 or $1 million, how? That process is not available. A risk management function or department doesn't exist. Even today, can you believe this? To me, it is difficult to believe, even in some large corporates. Then I find that risk register exists. So when we say we are managing risks, I'm sure easily we can expect one of the output would be there should be a risk register. So I'm able to see the risk register. But once again, how do you manage risks? That methodology or process has not been written. Next, I find you show me the risk register and you show me the process also, but both are not in sync. Your process says A, but the output seems to be B. So that's what I've been saying, that even if risk is so old, risk management domain is so old, there are still so many gaps. There's still so much improvement possible. Next poll coming up on the screen. Look at these two diagrams, pictures, and tell me please which one looks like a risk register to you. On your screens, I request people to participate, please. Only 2 out of 10 have responded so far. Can I have more fingers moving, please? Some physical exercise. 50%, 60% have voted. And I see interesting responses. Wait for a couple of more minutes. Good if we can touch 100%. By the way, that 10 would include me also. So perhaps we will never be able to achieve 100%, but at least 90% is my expectation that everyone responds. I'm stopping here. And the results in front of you. 83% have said B, which is right, but 17% thought A as well. A, according to me, appears to be an event log rather than risk register. But the reason I have put this up is a real situation, a real case. A client in Abu Dhabi showed me A as their risk register. And that client, the person who was showing, was a director in that bank. It was a bank. A director means number 2 in that organization, was head of risk, and he was client also. So when he would share A to me as the risk register, I was actually shocked. I was speechless. I had to compose myself calmly. I told them it appeared to be reactive to me. When something would happen, then you will record. Well, good practice is to be proactive. And then I gave them B, that this is a very simple one, but we have a standard ISO 31000 also. And then actually I led them to do their risk management according to that. So for that reason, I had picked up this question also. It's based on a real case. Good practice, according to me, is that it should be a process-based risk management rather than practice. For that, I'm saying when we say the process, documented process. What does that mean? Written by someone, reviewed by someone, approved by someone. And the story doesn't stop here. Published, again, not to the whole world, but at least to the relevant interested parties. Published, but then people don't use it. Again, it's of no use. Then used, when you use a process, it should produce some output. Then that output needs to be published. Output needs to be used over a period. Even this output needs to be reviewed and defined if required. And over a period, even this whole process needs to be reviewed and defined. We need to go that deep. That is a good practice according to me. Quickly, some examples at the bottom. I've given you the source also where I've picked up these from: cyber attack, human error, regulations, outsourcing, talent retention, digital disruption, IT implementation, data analytics, cyber fraud, organizational change, existing work processes. So not necessarily all of these will be valid for all organizations, but some of these will be applicable for all of the organizations. A combination of these maybe. Again, this is not a definitive list, but a good starting point I could find easily. So I'm sharing that with you all. Again, source given to you at the bottom, top 10 organizational risks according to them, and quickly we will see how these shifted between years 2017 and 18. If we look at IT in 2018 became top, it was towards bottom, not at the bottom exactly, but it was towards bottom in the previous year. If we look at a regulatory risk, number 3 in 18, but it was number 2 in 17. Again, no debates, no challenges here. This is based on one study, one source that is shown to you. Based on that, this was the list in 2017 and 18. So roughly, if you look at numbers, would be same, but some ranking change between the 2 years. I said that I'll be sharing many examples and cases, etc. So first example coming up. A life insurance company called Alik has run a data entry operator. While creating a new application record, he entered applicants per month salary as, do you see the difference? Typing mistake, just a zero or couple of zeros. So what does it mean? Some of us who understand the business of life insurance, when I apply for an insurance, it is not guaranteed to me. The company has the right to say no to me. They evaluate who am I, my background, financial background, as well as my health background, my paying capability, for which they need to know my salary. And they may decline because they may feel that my paying capability low, should have been this 100,000, but was typed in as 1 million, which means a wrong insurance could have been processed, could have been issued. Combination sum assured and monthly salary would have resulted in rejection, but the policy got issued in error. And that's an example of operational risk, according to me. Second example, Anna is a technical analyst who works on applications of her organization. Operation departments use such applications to produce output. She created an application recently for the accounts department to create invoices. So hope situation clear. Part 1. Part 2 says at the end of the month, the actual cash flow was more than that flowing into this application. Upon more investigation, the team found that one of the account payable inputs was getting doubled after execution. It's a programming error. Someone like me, while writing the program, might have made a mistake, which escaped the review, testing, etc., etc. At the time of having gone live, it was found some mistake happening, and then investigation would find that it was actually a programming error. This is another example of operational risk, according to me. Next one. I'll pause for a few seconds. Please have a look. Please let me know what does it look like. Type in. I'm monitoring the chat box. What do you think it is? Any inputs? No one has typed in so far? Guess whatever it appears to be to you. Seems I have created manual records of my expenses, my banking. This is my passbook, which I have been maintaining manually. I feel I should have a saving of 120,000. But I received the message from the bank that the amount in my account was only 100,000. What happened? Keep guessing. Chat had some response. It seems I missed that. Accounting error, Lieutenant Colonel Rajiv had said. Where is the error? In the bank systems, which was the previous example, IT systems, there was some mistake. Here, after tallying all expenses and income, I realized that I had missed out on a donation of 20,000 that I make every year in this month. So this is a mistake at my end. Once again, bank is fine, correct. And this is an example of operational risk. Next example coming up, which I'm saying is human error. A mechanic leaves a tool inside a jet engine, resulting in the blowout of the engine during flight. The aircraft is able to return to the airport, but the passengers are shaken. I'm sure we would be shaken. The airline's reputation is damaged. They face a government investigation, and the engine must be completely replaced. A human error. The mechanic left a tool inside the engine. Our next example coming up from IT. A critical network device experiences an error that results in a 4-hour outage for the website of an online retailer. So always say in the story that I have been narrating, revenue is lost and customer satisfaction declines for the month. Now the question, how important your website is to you? Because this case was from the website. No need to answer it immediately here. This is kind of your homework. You may like to make note of this, go back and check. Especially if you sell online, this may be very important to you. Most other companies have some information. They don't do the business on the website, but e-commerce or the retailers who sell online, from them, it is business directly that gets impacted. What else is there on your website? Some static information, and there may be some variable information as well. Next example I'm saying is insufficient processes. Example from an investment bank. The settlement process for an investment bank is only designed for a regular market volume. Say in the case once again, please. It's designed only for a regular market volume. One day there is a market crash and volume on the stock exchange spikes to 50 times the normal volume. The settlement process fails because it involves manual steps, and the bank doesn't have enough trained staff to complete the processes in a timely fashion. Customers are impacted as their orders don't show as settled within the regular time. The bank suffers a lot of loss of reputation with its customers and trading counterparties. Some of us, once again, who deal in stocks, I do not, by the way, that's what my risk management is, but there are people I know, they play, they make money, etc., etc. So I'm not against investment into stocks or investment in the market. It's just that I do not do. I'm sharing about myself. This could happen really once again. All of us would understand, again, from BCM background, IT failure, system goes down, there should be a backup IT. It doesn't come free. There may be some organization that says we don't want to invest into backup IT. So we have only primary. But the way out that we have thought is that we will do manual processing. Everyone says we will go to manual processing. The challenge is the moment IT automation has happened, we have forgotten the manual work. This is the challenge. Now, very easy to say, write a check, withdraw through the slip. But where are those slips? That may be a challenge today. The next example coming up is process failure. Number of students deposited admission and annual fee at a university and then got transferred to another preferable university. Again, it's a real example, happens in life. I pay fee for admission to University A, but there is an option available later on. If for whatever reason I want to shift to University B, I can. So a refund would be due to them. A customer service process breaks down due to a lack of training. These students are mistakenly told they do not qualify for refund. Think of students now. Most of us, I believe, in the session today are professionals. We have gone past that phase, but go back or check with a student current who he or she is a student currently. If they get this, could be kind of a big shock to them. Some refund was due to me, and I'm getting a message, no refund is due to me. The students complain to the ministry, who launches an investigation of the university. The university faces fines and negative publicity. So this is possible. Sometimes you only get fines, sometimes you only lose your popularity or your reputation. Sometimes it may be combination of both. AICTE, again, this is specific to India, is the controlling body, kind of a regulator in simplest term for the education sector. Next example is quality risk. An electronics company establishes a quality assurance process that catches 99.99% of defects in their vacuum cleaners. They therefore expect that 0.01% of their products will have a minor defect, and they establish a return policy that allows customers to get a replacement product should they discover a problem. Easy? Clear? The company budgets for such returns in their cost forecasts. Nothing comes free in this world. And being good to the customer, if you find some defect within the warranty period, yes, okay, there will be some ifs and buts and conditions, then you could get a replacement product from me. But to me, that's a loss. I need to factor in my business planning. And that's what this company has done. Like insurance companies have a cooling off period. You apply and you get an insurance, your policy is issued, and you have about 15, roughly it is 15 days. If you're not satisfied, happy with the policy, you can return. And again, there will be some if and buts, some conditions that you don't get 100% of your money back. Company may say, but we have spent some money on processing, that it may be 0.1%, it may be 0.01%, but some money may be deducted. So you need to factor for this. If you're providing that facility of return of a faulty product or a cooling off period in insurance sector, you need to factor for this. And that's what we need to see, the rate of returned or cancelled policies during this period. From insurance sector, this news doesn't come out easily. I have not seen personally. But what we have seen easily is from the auto sector. Some cars being recalled because of some defective part, and then company replaces it. This is a risk, and that needs to be taken care of in their business planning, because nothing comes free. So these were some examples. I also had said that I'll pick up some cases, so let's go into some cases also. Pawan is working with Alec, the life insurance company. He is involved in a financial fraud. You know this, but you do not report or escalate. Why not? You may like to unmute yourself and you may like to speak. Anyone? Case is clear. Pawan is working with Alec. He is involved in a financial fraud. You know this, but you don't report or escalate. Why not? What could be the reason? You can type in the chat box also. I'll monitor that as well. But if you want to speak, anyone can unmute and speak. Any responses?
Well,
yes, please.
the reasons could be many. One is you're not bothered. Second is ये से मतलब ठीक है तो है मैं क्यों करूं.
Okay.
दूसरा है you are a colleague
And may I
and
request to continue in English, please? Because some people may not. We know there
yeah,
is at least one gentleman from Nigeria.
okay, fine. So the reasons could be many. One is that let's say you are a colleague and you don't want to
Correct.
annoy him.
Absolutely.
Second is you are a colleague and you are not bothered. You said, okay, so what? He is involved in financial fraud. He is not taking anything from my pocket. So what? It's okay.
Yes.
You're careless, right?
Yeah.
And third is you may be involved with him, so you will not report.
Yes.
So, so these are
Yes.
three things that I thought for just now.
Thank you very
Rest you
much.
can amplify. Yeah,
May we know your name also, please? Who
I'm
responded?
I'm Rajiv.
Right. Thank you very
Rajiv
much.
Sinha. Yeah.
Yeah. And again, according to me, this is operational risk. And I'm saying on almost slide 1, 2, 3, I said, to me, all risks are risks. I will not be able to explain why we created this category called operational risk. Case 2, Madan is working with Alec. You have seen him behaving inappropriately with a female colleague. You also observed that the female colleague was not comfortable or had attempted opposing Madan, but you do not report or escalate. Anyone?
Yeah, can I make a little contribution?
Yes, please. With your name, please.
Okay. My name is Michael from Nigeria.
Yes, Michael.
Such things happen when you work in an environment where the management does not support this risk. There's no channel to report such anomalies,
Yeah.
or that even people who have been reported in the past,
Right.
there has been no measure seriously taken to deter others from towing the same line.
Okay.
That is why you may not want to report.
Right.
But if you work in an environment where there's zero tolerance, you will definitely report.
Right.
Yeah.
Good. So at this point in time,
Because what comes around goes around.
Yes. Live case from India, one of the biggest IT companies. One of the biggest, not the biggest one. Maybe they are number 2, 3 now. One of the top management, one of the founding members of the company was involved in a sexual harassment case. The company removed him. As simple as that. This is the best they could have done, isn't it? The person left India, went to US and joined another company. How do we manage this risk? This way, we say background check.
Yeah, that's where I was coming to.
So when
this
this person left, went to US and joined another company, that means US is not bothered about sexual harassment cases, or US doesn't do the background check, or because he was a very senior person, maybe it was not done or it was ignored. By the way, that person did that again in that company also, was removed, and to my knowledge was in another third company after that. This is one part of the story. I go that deep, so deep, that whatever happened with that person, whether someone is falling, at least he was removed twice, and whether people are not bothered about his background checking, I'm also concerned about this female. When this case was published, while one action has been taken, that the person has been removed from the company, but still, if I am that person, my name came out. So how did we manage that emotional situation for that lady? Our risk management process has to be that deep, not only one side, one action taken, but think of Daman also. What happened to him or her? And that portion is still not known to me. But I believe that's a very difficult situation for a female. One, sexual harassment happened. Second, the name came out. In the company, everyone knows whether she was doing this willingly or not. That will be a second question, but first is the name came out. And that that person, that lady, that female would be under tremendous pressure, according to me. So perhaps second portion within our risk management process will have to be taking care of such cases, emotional portion as well. To me, this is operational risk. This point I'm asking Paul 3 should be easy. We have discussed this already, but still, let's see what do people say in front of you. Both last two cases, financial fraud and sexual harassment, you know, but you don't report because there are options. The person is senior to you. You are not comfortable reporting. The person is a good friend. You stand to lose him or her. The person may lose job and you will feel guilty. This is none of my business. I'm not the victim in either case, and I have other tasks to do. Can I have your responses on the screen, please? 0 responses so far. Few more seconds before I close and share the results. And the results in front of you. 67% people selected first. The person is senior to me. 17% saying the person is a good friend. I may lose that friend if I talk about him or her. And 17% also saying this is none of my business, which is not good. But we know, truly speaking, we would find all types of these reasons. We may find all types of these reasons. So what do we do?
So actually, Daman, one response should have been that yes, I would still report,
Yes.
which was missing in this list.
There should have been one option like that also.
Yeah,
I like
yeah.
that. Yes. And as a friend from Nigeria was saying, then we need to make it happen. How has this risk been mitigated? I believe all of us have a policy or a process called whistleblower policy or whistleblower process. The current one, the whole world perhaps knows from Facebook also. Within last, I think, a month or so, it was in news. This is why that process has been, or that policy has been getting. The one you're not comfortable, if your name comes out that you reported, then you could report and your name will not come out. There is a process, something like that. Next case, and it's a true story I'm saying, from my previous organization. We had an incident logging tool. Once we checked and found that there were no entries in that. What do you get out of this? If it was your organization, if you would find this, that there were no entries in that. I was board member also in that organization. 30 people sitting. It was 1 against 29. People were happy, clapped. I said, hold on, please. Hold on, please. This is only a 0 reported. This doesn't mean 0 happened. So this is what my interpretation was. 0 reported. And then we need to go deep in managing this once again. What does this mean? Simple, that people don't have faith in us, the board. As simple as they don't believe in us. They don't believe in this process that we have created. We need to educate and we need to create, enhance their faith into us, the board. I would take this to be our failure. This is what my interpretation was. As I'm saying, a calm sea is not necessarily a good sign. None reported doesn't mean none happened. Next poll. I request all to participate, please. In front of you, Are you aware of GDPR, General Data Protection Regulation of the EU? Only two options, yes or no. Interesting responses. Closing here and results in front of you. 14% saying they are aware, but a large number, which is surprising to me. 86% people are saying they're not aware of this. They have not heard of this. GDPR stands for General Data Protection Regulation of the EU. It's been, I believe, 2+ years since it came into existence. The next one is then, is this applicable to you? To you means your organization. And you would have an option of I do not know also this time. Is GDPR applicable to your organization? Yes, no, I do not know. 77% responses this time. That's good. I hope we touch 90%. 100% is not possible because I will not be voting. Stopping here and results in front of you. No one has said yes. 14% said no, but we see 86%, which is very large, big percentage saying I do not know. Many people had this feeling or belief, including me also about 2 years ago when this came into picture. GDPR of EU. So it was for EU, European countries. That's what I thought. This is what we thought. But understanding has increased greatly now. Can you go on mute, please?
Hello.
So many of us had this understanding that it would be for European countries also. This understanding has been clarified, improved. It is applicable to almost everyone in the world. If you means your company, as of now I'm saying, has anything to do with anyone in the Europe, then this is applicable to you. And at this point, I had a question which I have not been able to find an answer yet about me individual. On my phone, I have some contacts. Some of my friends are in Europe, professional friends or otherwise, and have their contacts on my phone. So does GDPR become applicable to me also? And most likely I'm not in compliance to that. The penalties are huge. I'm not telling you the numbers, but these are unbelievably huge penalties if you're not compliant to GDPR. So you may like to go back and do this check in your company. The next case, I'm saying Hassan is one of your employees working from home during COVID-19 pandemic. He gets attracted by someone to provide some data in lieu of cash payment. Possible? Say yes, no, please. Anyone who says no, please type in. I want to see no only. Yes, I already know. As possible, I have been saying, while many companies have said work from home is the new norm, our employees will continue to work from home forever. Our employees will continue to work from home for as long as required. I have very strong views about that and have written many papers. You may like to go find on my LinkedIn. You'll find a lot of writing around this. Both the service provider as well as customer as well as vendor have broken some rules. They have made some compromises. The physical security and the information security that we have in office, we can never have that at home. Simple. So it is possible. Not everyone would do, but show me money, I may fall in trap. You're paying me money, I may share some data because it becomes easy for me when I'm working from home. No one is watching me. In office, people were around me. Maybe there were cameras also. At home, we don't have all that. So this is possible and it will be and operational risk. Next question, very important. I request everyone to share this. Once I share the results with you, I'll tell you another live story, real story related to this question. I'm asking, during the lockdown, were you eagerly looking forward to going back to office? And you have only two options, yes or no. Or if some people still working from home, then are you eagerly looking forward to going back to office? 55 responses only so far, so I'll wait for a few more seconds. This is a very important question. Results in front of you, 50-50. How do we interpret this? 50%, and this is live. By the way, this is 81st time. I've done this 80 times before today. Different companies, different countries, different age group, different professional groups, different sexes, genders also. Average is 50% to yes. It has gone to 80% and 100% also sometimes. If 50% people, 50% of you are saying you were or you are eagerly looking forward to going back to office, that means there is some pain at home. This is how we need to interpret, and then we will be able to manage this risk. This is what I was saying. Common question. Are you eagerly looking forward to going back to office? On average, 50%, which happened today also. Best 100% also sometimes. My interpretation is pain. So next question I'm asking is, and this time you can select all that apply. So I'll give you more time. We'll have to read all. What were the pains during work from home? Or if you're still working from home, then what are the pains of working from home? Select all that apply. Take your own time, extra time available for this question, this fall. But again, I'll request full participation. This is kind of a global research I'm doing. Responses have started pouring in. Great. 33%, 55%. Okay, 66. Few more seconds if we can improve. 77%. Great. I think this is the best one. 88% we have reached. I'm really happy. Thank you very much. And these are the results in front of you. It seems the top pain is IT, which is a bit different in this 81st survey. According to IT is the easiest one. My company just needs to give me a laptop and a connectivity. Add the most secure connection. But this is what you all have said. 63% saying IT infrastructure being the biggest pain. Second biggest, if you look at, and that is what is interesting, work-life imbalance. Even before COVID-19 pandemic, some companies in the world had work from home, right? And many of those had done this in the name of work-life balance. What are we saying? You all, I'm saying in almost all surveys, this is 81st. This is number one, number two, pain, work-life imbalance. But we see few others also. Physical infrastructure, yes, no one thought of that. Information security, family disruption, stress fatigue, some people bored, some people just miss the breakouts of the office. Very interesting, by the way. Based on this, actually, I with 7 other people from different countries, thought leaders, we call ourselves, did a global emotional impact assessment survey and published a report. Once again, that report is available freely to all. Either scroll down into my LinkedIn screen. I think we release in August. So you'll have to do a lot because I write almost daily. Or if you have interest, ask me and I'll be happy to send that to you separately. This is how you all had said. I'm repeating. Top risk came out to be IT infrastructure in this group. Second was work-life imbalance, and we need to understand this. Otherwise, we are not managing the risk well. There was a risk in office, got locked down. Mitigation was to work from home. But even that has a risk, actually many risks. So we need to look at those also. Just what I said, I'm attempting to show on the screen also the depth of your risk management. So we take COVID-19 as an example. That was the risk. Mitigation was lockdowns announced by different governments. But that gave rise to another risk. What was? Loss of business. So the companies came into picture and they said mitigation is work from home. But that gave rise to multiple many risks. Physical security, information security, fatigue, stress. Actually, they were 10. And by the way, those 10, because there is a limitation of 10 options in a poll in a Zoom. Otherwise, I could have maybe created 20 pain areas. Out of these, I'm showing only one for information security. For example, mitigation would be code of conduct, NDA, other automated controls. There is some possibility, and change in policies. Almost all of us would have signed an NDA on the day we joined the company. Maybe there would be a need to relook at that and make some changes. Okay. Then return to office started. Many have, some are still working from home. Return to office itself will give rise to a risk, which is virus spread due to proximity. So the mitigation, self-separation distance. Now people have to sit apart, never fully occupied office. Some companies have said some people will come on day 1, some people will come on day 2, some people will come on day 3 of the week, something like that, which gives rise to another risk, reduced manpower in the office, right? Quickly looking at quarantine, which was required, which would result into risk is loss of productivity. Mitigation, increase the cost of your product, as simple as that. But that also gives the risk that then their profits goes down. Right. Increased medical costs. This is very interesting. My suggestion, everyone, all organizations should calculate their worst case scenario. Up to 70% people may be missing for up to 15 days quarantine. And it's forced one. You're asking me to stay at home. And don't go deep. I'm saying even in this point, think a little more, please. I'm sick. That's why you're asking me to stay at home. Then should I be working? Are you really a good organization then? My expectation will be, if you force me to stay at home, then please do not accept me to work also. Then it is 70%, 15 days. What is the average daily salary? That is the loss to you, basic minimum loss. Will you be able to do? Calculate, let it be known to all relevant interested parties. Communication is very important even in risk management. So I'm just showing what I have developed as a cycle, which is in line with requirements mentioned in ISO 22301 with respect to communication. ISO 22301 is for BCM. So who communicates what, to whom, when, and how. If you take care of this, then you will be in conformance to the requirements written in ISO 22301. So who is your author of the communication? What is the content? Whom is your audience, the target, interested parties? When can be time or frequency? how is the media, whether it be email, phone call, notice, newspaper publish, or your intranet or on your internet, etc., etc. So this is very important. Also, especially COVID-19 pandemic. In the past, we would have said Chinese statement, there is an opportunity in every crisis. In risk, we would say attempt to convert a risk into opportunity. And we would have struggled. I'm saying me, myself, and I'm going through a crisis, there's a risk, and you're saying find an opportunity. Conceptually, it was, but now we have seen some examples also. I believe not proven yet perfectly whether it started from China or it was China's mistake, but many of us individuals and perhaps the governments and countries also believe so. So companies are attempting to move out of China. Some have moved out also in last now about 2 years of the pandemic. Where do they go? To India and to some other countries nearby, which means the crisis for China is an opportunity for these countries. This example again from India itself. India was producing 0 PPE kit. All were being imported and most likely from China. Within 6 months of pandemic, and I believe it continues today, India is producing million PPE kits per day and perhaps exporting also. All of a sudden, hand sanitizers were in huge demand and there was lack of production, supply. Case is that sugarcane factories, where it's a byproduct, the alcohol, which is the main product, main ingredient in a hand sanitizer, they started producing hand sanitizers. Difficult this one for me to believe, but it seems when auto companies, the car manufacturing companies were locked down, they started producing ventilators. How could a car producing company produce a ventilator? Not clear to me, but I take this from media as a good learning. I do not have a proof to justify this. Vaccine as well, we know India had been one of the biggest producers, still continues to be, also exporting, initially free also, and I believe today India has started charging also. So again, an opportunity. And you may like to think of yourself, create your own case study if you have something like that. Quickly on GRC, we have been using this term also in the world. Governance, risk, and compliance is an organizational strategy, the definition for managing governance, risk management, and compliance with industry and government regulations. This is IBM's definition of GRC. But if you look at Gemini, sorry, same IT sector, I believe, both companies, but they have a little different definition of GRC. Capgemini says GRC refers to a capability that helps an organization achieve its objectives with responsibility running right across the organization. Once again, playing a video, I'll stop and do this check whether audio, video both are clear to all of you.
Compliance risk is much broader
Audio, video clear?
Yes.
today.
Great.
It's a real challenge in the financial services industry. We see impacts much greater, and we see our clients taking a lot different approach to managing this risk. One of the things that's driving this is now the source of compliance risk is a lot different than it used to be. We see customer interactions, products and channels all coming into play, and where these things meet is really driving a whole new source of risk, which is really hard for our clients to get a handle on. And so because of that, we see clients taking a lot different approach to how they're managing this risk. Why don't we talk a little bit about some of those challenges?
I think there's a few things that we see when we look at our clients and the way that they're addressing sort of or dealing with this situation. I think a lot of compliance functions and what second line of defense function more generally have a real issue with this new environment. In one way, they're not resourced to deal with it. We have an inflation of new compliance requirements. we have a greater complexity than we've ever seen before in the regulatory space. And frankly, management has increased an increased need for information and for really transparency into what's going on. So this creates a real challenge for second line of defense functions. Number one, in terms of talent. Number two, in terms of the tools and technologies that are available to the second line of defense function. And I think three, the ability to produce the right visibility into the actual issues that exist.
For instance, compliance departments now, second line of defense, are not only responsible for keeping track of laws and regulations, they're now also responsible for monitoring and testing the controls that exist in the business. And that's a completely new frontier that requires that, that banks have the ability to put a risk assessment program in place and put monitoring and testing in place, which is a new frontier. And if you think about the skill set that goes into doing monitoring and testing, it's different than the traditional kind of legal and regulatory background that you'd expect to see from a traditional compliance department of years past.
We really see people have to understand operations, they have to understand customer experience, and they really need to come together and work on this issue. And that's really one of the things we see as being successful that we've been supporting and helping our clients with. And then analytics is a whole area that's really important too, and our clients are really trying to really leverage that.
Traditionally, as we just discussed, compliance is done in a passive way, reactive way. And we say analytics can really help organizations to take a proactive and integrated approach. So analytics will take the first step of integrating the multiple sources of data together, create one version of a truth, versus if you read one version of a compliance report from another version. And that means you can now leverage insights from multiple sources, from operations, from marketing, from sales, from channels, from products, and really looking at things proactively on a real-time basis.
As a second line of defense, that monitoring and testing component that I spoke about earlier being an expectation, how do you monitor and test ultimately every interaction that a customer service representative has with a customer?
That's right.
It's very, very challenging. And so to design that framework and then to think about how do I go about testing to make sure that our customers are having a good experience and are getting the right advice and their complaints are being handled appropriately. It is a real challenge, and we see that a lot of times the organizations aren't equipped, getting back to your talent issue, with the right talent to be able to really hone in to root cause issues, to really hone in on what's a process or a policy versus what's an actual control.
Let's talk a little bit about the lean principles and how we could use those to take away some things that maybe aren't creating value.
What we see works well in the lean principle is right to left approach, meaning, right, what are the key risk areas? What are the business objectives or organizational objectives we really want to achieve? And what are priorities of that? And use those priorities and objectives to drive what analysis, what rules, procedures we want to introduce.
We think there's value in each of the things we talked about today, and we do see clients working on each of these, whether it's risk integration and better process risk assessments, or it's testing, analytics. But we also think there's a better opportunity to really create a comprehensive plan and have a comprehensive business case that really you can get the whole enterprise behind and management behind to support you. So we think having a holistic plan that pulls all these together is really where the greatest opportunity lies.
I hope you can see my screen once again. And looking at the time, I will skip few slides that I have put in the deck, attempting to wrap up in next couple of minutes so that we have some time for some questions, inputs, observations, interaction, etc. Skipping this, Paul. Other term that we use in risk management is integrated risk management. This video I'll skip, but a definition from Gartner is a set of practices and processes supported by a risk-aware culture. So culture is very important, and enabling technologies. Generally, we say PPT, people, process, technology. So that comes in risk management as well. That improves decision-making and performance through an integrated view of how well an organization manages its unique set of risks. Quickly, PAS 7000. This is PAS stands for publicly available specification. BS standard, before it becomes a full-fledged standard, is known as PAS 7000 is supply chain risk management supplier qualification. I'm just skipping, but just wanted to give you a view that there is a document available and we can use if we wish. There are the various modules, and then assessment is done. Assessment of your supplier is done based on those. Very good, very important to know about World Economic Forum also. Every year they produce a global risk report. So this in front of us from 2020. 2021 report also is available, but I have not been able to incorporate that into my discussion yet. What we see is top 10 risks in terms of likelihood, top 10 risks in terms of impact, and we may say, see, both are here at top. Climate, COP26, I believe everyone understands immediately, Glasgow. The last topic I would like to touch upon quickly is organizational resilience, which I said is my current passion also. Standard ISO 22316, current version, which is the first version also, is 2017, defines this as ability of an organization to absorb and adapt in a changing environment. Skipping this poll also, journey forward. People would say, yes, Daman, we have talked a lot. You have talked a lot, more than an hour now. What's next? How do we move forward? This is my suggestion. We started from risk management, move to GRC, then IRM or integrated risk management. The way forward, according to me, is organizational resilience. And quickly, this is what organizational resilience means to me. Many of us, including me, also would have thought of BCM, ITDR, crisis, risk, information security, etc. About 6-7 put together is organizational resilience. It is much more than that. About 20 domains, roughly. Whatever happens in the organization, all is organizational resilience. Organizational resilience is directly linked with your VMB purpose, objective, goals of the organization. So this is how I'm saying this is the way forward. Risk management, this is my definition. Risk managing, learning and continually improving organization is a resilient organization, and no organization will ever be 100% resilient. No one can be. And organizational resilience is a journey of transformation. It's not 1, 2, 3. It could be 5, 10, 15 years journey also. We need to walk on this together. This is where I would like to stop. With the last poll I would like to do, whether these discussions were useful, helpful. This is the last one. Yes, in front of you. 3 options. Yes, yes, and you would like to have a little more. And no, I wouldn't mind no. No one is perfect in this world. I'm also a learner, lifelong learner. Improvements are always possible. But please let me know what improvement also you would like to know. I'll be happy to make that. 75% people have voted so far. Thank you very much. 67 saying yes, and 33% willing to have a little more information also. My request, please get connected with me on LinkedIn. Send me the request. I'll accept all requests. I may not be able to send to you because I do a lot, and generally within first day of the week, I spend all my limitations, weekly limitations of sending LinkedIn connection requests. Please send. I write almost every day. So stay in touch. There's a lot to learn from each other. Any questions ever about anything that I know, my coordinates in front of you, please feel free to write to me. I'll be happy to respond to the best of my capabilities. I'll stop here. I'll stop sharing the screen. My request, please switch on the cameras. I would like to take a picture also, which I'll publish with your permission on my LinkedIn. You all will become global celebrities. And if there are any questions, Any suggestions? Any discussion? We have some time before we close. 6 minutes to go. Switch on the cameras, please. My request. Four, 5, 6. I'll wait for a few more seconds if people are switching on. And give me your best smile if you would. I'll take ready. Thank you very much. Open to any questions, suggestions, inputs, discussions, anything that you may have in mind. You can.
Yeah, can we do this again?
Can we do this again? The photograph.
Yeah.
Ah, yes, we can.
No, the lecture, the entire training.
Yes, why not? But for whom?
Security professionals.
I'm happy if you put me in touch with people. Yes, no challenge at all.
I learned a lot.
Oh, great. I'm happy. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Any other person, any questions, input, suggestions, any discussion, any case if you would like to put on, and I'll attempt to do my analysis and come back to you. I'm happy to work on cases.
Yeah, Mr. Daman, my question to you is, I'm Soman here.
Yes, sir.
My question to you is, how does regulation pose a risk, to any organization for which we require an organization risk management? Regulations.
Yes. So while you have asked this question, good, thank you very much. I tend to say, so please do not mind when I say it's so simple, right? Please do not mind. What I mean to say is, assume it's me, organization, my organization, and if there's there is a regulation that we need to follow, we don't follow, then there's a possibility of first losing reputation, then getting some fines, penalties, and finally perhaps license may be cancelled or the company may be locked down. So this is the risk that regulatory requirements pose to us. Us means organizations. So quickly, if you take an example, almost all regulators, banking regulators, almost all countries have a requirement of business continuity management, that the bank or the financial institution should implement BCM. And if they don't, then there's a possibility of first, the reputation, second, the penalty, fines, and finally, the license may be cancelled. And to my knowledge, I'm saying banks in almost all countries, telecom sector, almost all countries, stock markets, almost all countries, and insurance sector, almost all countries have put in some requirements around BCM. And this is only one example I'm saying. There may be many more regulations that a company has to follow within a particular sector. So this is how regulation becomes a risk.
Oh, so you mean non-compliance of it?
Yes.
Okay, right. Okay. My understanding was not clear on that. Thank you.
I on purpose create this confusion so that people ask questions. Say it's non-compliance to regulation that is a risk. Yes.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? And I'm saying, it seems no more questions coming up, then we can close while we still have 2 minutes. But stay in touch, please. Any questions, definitely, even after today, please feel free to write to me. A response is guaranteed to the best of my capabilities. Well, I'm admitting that I'm a lifelong learner. Great. Thanks, Kundan. Thank you very much. Then we can close this session. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you a lot. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.